it can break your brain and your bank balance when it comes to choosing a dash for sim racing. There are three main types, and you probably already own one of them without even knowing it. And at the end of the day, it all boils down to personal preference, but there's a few things you need to know when you're choosing, because you need to figure out what exactly is best for your setup. So I'm going to look at the three main options with pros and cons for each to try and help you choose. So like this video, turn on notifications and subscribe to the channel so you can help others find the right dash for their sim racing while staying up to date with all our latest videos. Now there's a few things you need to be aware of in this video. Two of the options I'm going to talk about require SimHub to work. SimHub is free to download and the software is needed to get these sorts of dashes to work. And the Moza CM2 is currently not SimHub compatible, meaning you have to use their own software, which is okay, but if it's customization you want, make sure whichever dash you choose has SimHub compatibility or software that can do all the things you need. And something else that's important to know is that dashes working with consoles are a bit hard to find. Most of the dashes that are out there and available are geared towards PC, so if you do use a console, compatibility with your console and the games you play is going to be something that you need to carefully consider and look out for. And this video is going to be geared towards PC sim racers. So this dash is the Moza CM2, which has a ton of features, blends seamlessly with your Moza setup, and also works alongside other setups. It costs around £195, which can vary depending on where you buy it from, but the fact that you can get this dash at this price from Moza themselves directly or places like Argos and Currys gives you a layer of security you might not get with smaller brands. The pros to the Moza CM2 specifically is that it has a 5-inch touchscreen display with a resolution of 800 by 480. It has 16.7 million color points and a 60 Hz refresh rate. There are preset displays that you can choose from, and it's pretty much plug and play if that's what you want it to be. But it does have some pretty decent customization you can get access to through the Moza Pithouse software, which if I was going to describe the software for this dash, it would be like SimHub but watered down, and we'll get into that a bit later. The dash does give really clear real-time data and blends really well into your Moza setup like the one that I have. When we talk about dashes like these, there's one big drawback to this, and that is that there is not very much when it comes to customization. Now, they do vary, and this one in particular does have some decent customizing you can do with its own software, but depending on which dash you choose, customization can be a problem. With the CM2, you can build completely custom dashes, but you are far more limited with something like this than say something like this that pairs with SimHub and is completely customizable. For example, no matter how hard I tried with the CM2, I could not build an ERS bar for Formula 1 that would tell me how much ERS I had left in F1 24. Whereas with this dash, I was able to do that in SimHub pretty easily, and it took a matter of minutes. Now, this isn't going to be a deal breaker for everybody, but it's something I imagine people would care about, especially if you drive Formula 1 most of the time. So it's definitely something that's worth knowing, because it could potentially be a deal breaker for a lot of people. Essentially, dashes like the Moza CM2 are for people that don't like too much tinkering but want a little bit of customization, but mainly they just want something that works out of the box. And if you're somebody like that, then the CM2 might be a good option for you. Next up, we've got what I like to call Etsy dashes. These are dashes you can buy from places like eBay or Etsy, and this particular one is from a company called PSR, and it's one I found on Etsy for around £100. It's a 5-inch display, has a universal mounting plate, and it uses magnetic mounting, which makes the dash easy to remove and reattach, which is a feature I use more than I thought I would when I bought it. And these types of dashes tend to be 3D printed, so the quality can vary quite dramatically. And there are many tiny companies and single-person businesses making these, which certainly does bring in a risk factor when you're thinking of buying one. So essentially, you have to know what you're looking for before you buy them, and you are taking a risk giving money to a company that you've never heard of without really knowing for sure what it is you're going to get. That's where reviews and research really does come in handy when looking at third-party dashes. However, after saying that, I currently use this in my setup over the Moza CM2, and there hasn't been a single moment since using it that I've wanted to change it. So I do feel like when you're buying one of these and you get it right, it does have a lot of advantages. So then what are the pros and cons? Well, first up, there's the varying build quality. With the amount of companies making these, it does make build quality quite a large factor, as you could buy one and not really be that impressed with it, or get something that you weren't really expecting. And you are buying through a third-party vendor like Etsy rather than a trusted company that gives you you that extra security. But now you do have to learn how to use the SimHub software, which is completely possible, but is a bit more complex than the software that comes with the CM2, for example. But moving on to the pros of this dash, they are a much cheaper option than most other dashes. The CM2 is probably the cheapest out there from a trusted company, around £200. And I picked the PSR up via Etsy for around £100, which obviously is a massive saving, and because it's just a display, it's super customizable when you pair it with SimHub. And the dashboard that I use for racing, I built myself in SimHub, so it includes every single piece of data I personally want and is 100% tailored to my specific needs. Whereas the CM2 could only do about 90% of what it is that I wanted, which is not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but that last 10% did bother me. And the last positive thing I'd say about the PSR Sim Racing Screen 5.0 is that the mounting system on this one is far superior to that of the Moza CM2, and to be honest, anything that I've used so far. So that's the well-known trusted brand and the third-party brand. Now what about the Sim Dash that you already have? Last but certainly in no way least is the dash you already have, which is your phone. And this solution works with iPhone or Android. You can pair your phone with SimHub to get all the customization and functionality of a dash like the PSR, which isn't just amazing, it's also obviously going to be the cheapest option for a lot of people, and perfect for people who aren't quite sure if a more permanent solution is something they need. Now the pros to using your phone are quite simple. It's by far going to be the cheapest option. You can still build completely customized dashboards or use the SimHub presets that are in the software. And like I've mentioned, it works on iPhone and Android with a ton of online tutorials on how to set that up. And it gives you the try before you buy effect, where you can use it to work out if you do want a more permanent dash. So if those are the pros, what are the cons? Well, you can't use your phone while you're using it as a dash. Mounting the device can be an issue, although you can buy phone mounts for sim rigs, and it's probably not the best option if you're sure you want something more permanent. However, it might tide you over until your dash arrives. After saying all of that, these are what my recommendations would be. In short, I would recommend a dash from a well-known company like the Moza CM2 if you want something permanent, easy to use, and you want something that can be plug and play but does have some customization options. And I would choose a third-party dash or a more expensive dash with SimHub compatibility if full control over building and customizing your own dashboards is something that you are really wanting to get out of one of these. And I'd probably recommend using your phone with SimHub to try before you buy. You can use the phone as a reference point on deciding if you want something more permanent and whether having the most amount of flexibility and customization is something you care about, or if what you're looking for is something with ease of use like the Moza CM2. Now I hope this video helped in some way on your decision with what dash to choose, and leave a comment down below if you have extra recommendations when it comes to sim racing dashes. Also, like the video, share the video, please turn on notifications and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any of our future videos. But until the next one, happy racing.